I will just carry on. My name's Sarah Todd. I'm a digital skills advisor at the University of Aberdeen. I was here earlier as well, so thanks for having me back. Here is a bit about what we're going to do today. We're talking about usable access, not just kind of policy stuff. I'm going to do a very quick primer on digital accessibility, and then a practical walkthrough guide of the process I follow when I remediate documents. So yeah, genuine access is what we're after today. In my talk earlier today with my colleague Jenna Story, we discussed that disabled users face a barrier loop of exclusionary factors in academic libraries. So this talk focuses on the labour-intensive remediation and what that looks like. I'm going to start with PDFs. What's the big deal? Why do you complain about them? The core problem is that they were originally designed as a graphical layout model for printing rather than a content presentation tool for digital use, which conflicts with accessibility needs. Many PDFs are untagged, which means that they lack an underlying semantic markup that screen readers need to interpret a document. They often fail to specify a logical reading order, and this is particularly problematic in two-column layouts, where screen readers may jump across the page from one column to another. They often lack hierarchical heading structures, so this stops users from tabbing between sections or finding a specific point quickly. They must go through the document from top to bottom. Tables often lack header tags, and mathematical formulae can be problematic too. Screen readers which are built into browsers also aren't able to reformat a PDF for easier sight reading. So you can do things like change text size and spacing, font, and so on and so forth. So PDFs aren't compatible with these systems. They're difficult to modify without specialist software or converting files. First, before we move into the fun practical stuff, I want to reassure you that if you are remediating documents for a disabled reader in the process of your job, there is legislation that supports this. So it's section 31A of the Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988. I've got a short excerpt of that on screen. It's actually quite readable for legislation, and if you want to talk about that, contact your local copyright officer and discuss what that could mean for you. Before we jump in, I just want to quickly mention some limitations with what I'm going to cover. My process is very DIY, and it's something I've developed under my own steam using the tools I've got and from my own research. There are probably better ways of doing things. Like anything digital, there are many ways of completing tasks. You might not be able to use this process if your workplace doesn't use Microsoft, but librarians and accessibility specialists are genuinely very generous with their time. So if following this system doesn't work for you, there will be someone out there who's developed something that will. So as librarians do your research. So before we start remediating documents or making requests on behalf of disabled people, there's something really important that we need to do, and that is ask our reader. Disabled people are not a monolith. What might be accessible for one person is not for another. Always ask your reader. The more information you have, the less time you're going to waste. Your assumption may be incorrect. So some print disabled people find print versions more accessible than digital ones, and there's absolutely no point in tracking down digital copies if your reader won't use them. So the core question that we want to consider is, what is the minimum change that we can make so that this will be accessible? So here are some useful questions, kind of considerations that I usually make when I speak to students. And the first is, how do you prefer to read things? Sounds simple, but it's really an important question to ask. So there are a few different options, as we know. If someone reads by sight from print, so like physical copies of books or printouts from digital documents, there are a few things you can do. They could borrow books from your library, physical books, or you could contact a publisher for a complimentary copy. We've been super successful at this. If you hold a digital copy, a publisher will often send you a print copy for free, as long as you're not adding it to your catalogue. Articles wise, if it's a lot of digital stuff, check and see, can they get an unlimited print allowance? That might be done through student services. That could really help that student or that staff member self-serve in the future. We want to promote independence here. Next option, by sight on screen. So what sort of modifications do people use, if they use any? Ask questions. Do they want large print, bigger spacing, different fonts, contrast? All that sort of stuff is really important for you to know, because this could be managed with software training for your user once they're able to convert files on their own. You might have to do a good bit of work with them initially, just building up confidence, doing a bit of training, but this could really help someone do everything on their own, and that is ideally what we want. So the final option that I'm going to cover is by listening to materials. So that's, using a screen reader, a computer reads out to the person. So this is the most kind of labor intensive kind of reading category, I would say. They will need, files will need more careful remediation. So have a think about what your reader actually needs, because that could save you a lot of time and a lot of effort. Self-help wise, mentioned in the last bits, if you want to convert files, get a free account for Adobe Acrobat. That your user could even do that themselves, and then use Immersive Reader in Word. That will let the person reformat a document into any sort of specification that they want, and that will basically allow them to be an independent reader. There's also an amazing service called Census Access that will convert PDFs, Word files, all sorts of things into things like audio files or specific file extensions. It's really cool. It's a paid thing. I don't think it's super expensive. We don't have that yet. So if you have a little budget, I would definitely recommend checking that out. Okay, what do we mean when we call a document accessible? So this is pretty consistent whether data is presented as a PDF, a website, or any other file format. So for general accessibility, meaning compatibility with assistive tech, we need to look at 5 main areas. I'm leaving out the P in Sculpt because we're not changing anything to do with the language. So we want to look at structure, so that's your heading styles, color and contrast, use of images, your links, so that's hyperlinks in your text, never use click here, and then your table structure, so simple tables without lots of merged cells. Okay, so we've talked to our reader, we know what they want, they've sent us details of something they can't use, but we don't speak computer and we can't see just from looking at a digital file what is wrong with it. So how do we find out what the issues are? Now there's a very useful, lovely little free browser extension that you can add to any of your browsers. It's called the Wave browser extension from WebAIM. If you open the resource in your preferred browser, open the extension, and it will give you little scores and it will tell you what is missing. So you can see here it's got no headings. If you click the little eye, it will tell you what that means. This will let you see kind of how intensive it is if you're going to be going through this. Right, we are going to get practical now. So we know what the issues are and we're going to fix them. I'm going to take you through a bunch of screen captures of my process. It might be a little overwhelming, it's quite quick, but I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing as clearly as I can. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is make the PDF into an editable document by converting it into a different type. My preferred way of doing this is the free subscription version of Adobe Acrobat. No expensive licenses needed. Just open Adobe Acrobat in your browser and convert it. I'm choosing to convert it into a docx file. This is a Word document format. I'm choosing this because it's very easy to edit these files. It's very simple and free. So on the website, just select convert. A drop-down menu will appear. Select PDF to Word. Upload the file and then wait a wee minute, it will open. If you've seen it looks fine, just click the ellipsis at the top of the screen there and save the file to your computer and download. And now we can edit that file. Next, once we have saved and downloaded the file, we're going to open it in Microsoft Word. So we can now edit this document. We can now edit the text. So we're going to click Review along the top menu ribbon. We're going to click Check Accessibility and open the navigation pane. You can see the headings down the left side of the screen there. This allows us to have a look at what the heading hierarchy is. Now, Acrobat will automatically tag headings for you, but they're often wrong. So we do need to check those manually. It doesn't take long. So we should be able to see if the alignment's off and things. Open the styles pane. It just makes it a bit quicker for you going through and checking everything. So just click somewhere in the heading to make sure that we're not changing the appearance of the headings and therefore avoiding any formatting changes or page number errors, that sort of thing. Right click the style you want to apply and then select Update Heading to match selection. And you just go through the whole document, making sure all your heading levels are consistent. It's boring, but it is actually quite important and quite satisfying work. This is really the one main thing that you can do to help a reader really get the meaning of of this file. Next up, we're going to check the document title. So to check this, click Home on the menu ribbon and select Info from the sidebar. You'll see all sorts of document properties along the right side of the screen. This is going to show you things like the file size, how many pages, all that sort of stuff. So under the title field, make sure the full title of the document is there. And if needed, you can click the title and just type in the text. Next, we're going to check the language. This seems really minor, but if we don't do this, a screen reader may not even read the text. So click Review on the menu ribbon at the top. Under Language, select Set Proofing Language. You might find that Adobe has already identified that it's English United States, in which case fab. If not, just select that option and then press OK. This is an important step too. You might have noticed before when you download documents from databases that they often have things like URLs and watermarks kind of in the margins or along the bottom. These are a minor thing we can skip when sight reading, but when you're using a screen reader, any on-screen text will be read out in full. This can be really annoying and distracting, especially on a long document, which is why I usually delete these. So to delete them, either just click the object or highlight the text and press delete on your keyboard. Make sure you leave the page numbers intact because these are important for referencing and we all love referencing. Next, this is a complicated but important bit. This is the most commonly missed by automatic checkers. So let's put in some alternate text. This will be read out to show what this diagram is. Keep it short for alt text. I used the label underneath this diagram and just right click it and select alt text. Now for captions, I usually use Gen AI to draft something for me. I find it's quite decent-ish for mostly creating transcripts of images. So right click and copy your image, paste it into Copilot. This is our protected institutional tool, which hopefully avoids any issues further down the line. I had a prompt ready there. I'm going to skip it back because I'm talking too slow. So run the query, copy the response, go back into your document, and I'll just wait for my on-screen self to catch up. So go back into your document. There I go. Right click the image and select Insert Caption from the menu here. Paste in Copilot's response. Please read the description and make sure it's correct because it often gets stuff like page, like numbers and things wrong. So specific wording checking is needed. You might find that if this description is quite long, it'll knock text onto the next page. So what you want to do is make the text smaller. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be read out anyway. And make the caption box smaller. And this should keep your document in the same kind of order. Last thing I'm going to do here is make sure my image is in line with text. This just means that the image is going to be read out in the correct place. So it's not going to be in some random paragraph. It's not going to be read out in the wrong place. Okay, one of the final, we're getting there, things we're going to do is look at tables. So click onto the table, select table design from up top, the menu ribbon. Make sure that your header row is ticked. This is a type of heading style, and just make sure screen reader knows where heading labels are and where the data are. So if your first vertical column is also a heading, make sure first column is also ticked. Likewise, if it's got a totals row at the bottom or totals row at the right, you can tick those options too. Taking a bit of time doing this, just make sure that data is read out in the best way. Final thing we're going to do is run the accessibility checker. Automatic checkers don't catch all the issues. They might see that a document has one heading at all and consider it compliant. So this is why we're doing it manually. Most of the issues are going to be resolved by this point with our previous work. So this is a final backup step. Just click review on the menu ribbon, check accessibility, and then review anything that is highlighted there. Last step, arguably the most important if you're doing this. So if your reader can't use Word files with their screen reader and they really need a PDF copy, this is the single most important thing you can do. Any changes you've made will be undone if we don't do this properly, and we hate wasting our time. So to do this, I'm going to rewind. Click home on the menu ribbon, select Save a Copy, select PDF from the file type dropdown, click More Options, and then another one, options again. It's so important that we check that the non-printing information here is maintained. Make sure create bookmarks using headings, document properties, and document structure tags are all ticked. So once you've done this, we can click save, and that is a beautiful PDF that we have just made, almost from scratch. Okay, in summary, this is my lovely remediation checklist that I generally tend to use. So yeah, you can do as many of these as possible. If you want a document to be as machine readable as possible, you can do all of it. You could stop there after step 2 if somebody is not using a screen reader. Okay, what I want you to take away is that these steps can be time consuming, especially with long or complex documents, but it doesn't actually have to be all that technically demanding. You're going to get quicker and more fluent with a little bit of trial and error. You're very likely to identify ways of doing this which work better for you. The main thing that I really want to emphasize here is that there's real value in this work. The number of readers who rely on accessible documents may be low compared to the majority, but completing these steps makes a huge difference for readers who are blind, visually impaired, or have another print disability. Now, I know I've skipped through this really quickly. I have my references and resources here on screen. I've got the links in the order that I added them. So yeah, if you want a copy of my actual slides, please give me an email anytime. If you want to get in touch with me and, you know, complain, maybe I can help, like, give me a shout. I'm here if you would like. So I will stop sharing. Any questions?
So we've had a couple. That was a great presentation. Thank you
Thank
very much,
you.
Sarah,
Very
and really
quick. I hope
useful as well.
it was clear.
Really useful. Yes, absolutely.